And joining us now to talk about all this is Joel Rubin, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State during the Obama administration. Joel, good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning, Casey.
So how close are we?
I think we're very close. I think that the signals now coming out from the region are sincere. The Qataris, now the Egyptians today is well engaged, and of course our diplomats saying that this is the deal that looks like it's going to be accepted. Of course, we're still waiting for Hamas to decide officially. The Israeli leadership looks like they're willing to take the negativity from the far right. That means Netanyahu is willing to push it through and maintain his government. That's at least what I'm hearing. I was at the State Department yesterday for the president's speech, and that's sort of the chatter that Netanyahu may be able to get this through, lose some of his coalition allies in the vote, but not collapse his government.
So I'm tempted to use a word that's probably too impolite for 5 a.m., but let's put it this way. What is giving Netanyahu the guts to go against his right wing at this moment when he hasn't been so far?
You know, there's a confluence of pressures happening right now. Certainly what we're talking about with the region, and of course with President-elect Trump also mirroring President Biden. Actually, I want to mention this. I think it's very important. This might be the only part of the Trump transition where there's legitimate coordination between the Trump team and the Biden team on a core policy issue, and there's no daylight between them. And so I think for the prime minister, he sees that. He understands that it's going to have to be the deal is going to have to be closed, but the big X factor in this is the advocacy of the hostage families. That we have to remember that those individuals, those families have been advocating for well over a year, not just to the Biden team, but of course across Capitol Hill, and been meeting with the Trump transition team. And I think that's really why we see now the pressure coming to a head.
Let's take a look, actually, since you mentioned the Trump team. This was Secretary of State Blinken who was talking. He did an interview talking about how they were working with Trump. Watch.
Steve Witkoff has been a terrific partner in this, and also President-elect Trump in making clear that he wants to see this deal go forward and go forward before January 20th. And of course, everyone wants to know, and it's very useful as well to have Steve a part of this. They want to make sure that the deal that the president's put on the table and that we've negotiated, the Trump administration will continue to back.
It's kind of unusual, or interesting anyway, that this Trump envoy, Steve Witkoff, has been a part of these conversations here at the very end.
Yeah, it really is unusual. You know, as discussed, it also, of course, is unique in this transition. But I think it's a positive sign because it means that there's going to be continuity, not just of the people, but also of the policy, and that the information is being shared directly in real time. Transitions are very hard, and I've been through them. And what you want to make sure is that information continues from one team to another. It's not clear that's happening across the government, but in this case, it is. And I think we have to give hats off credit to President Biden and his team as well. They've been working this time and again with our allies in the region. We've seen Hamas's sponsors like Hezbollah and Iran in particular push back. And so they have been relentless in pursuing a diplomatic endgame that all the sides can agree to. Hopefully Hamas signs up to this one, that we see some relief for the Palestinians in Gaza, that we get these hostages out. And then with the Trump leadership, that they continue on this policy, on this path.
Briefly, this is, of course, a temporary ceasefire. At least that's how we understand it right now. How likely is it, do you think, that can become a permanent one?
Hopefully it builds the confidence. Look, ceasefires are never fully permanent in the Middle East. I hate to sound so cynical about it, but we're seeing the one in Lebanon, for example. There's temporary, but now it's growing into a more longer-term solidified one because we've seen steps taken during this temporary period that build the confidence. Hopefully the same dynamic can occur in Gaza.
All right, Joel Rubin, great to start off with you today. Thanks so much for being here.